Today on Strange and Suspicious. Birth rates have fallen at a dramatic rate. And one controversial theory, women just aren't finding young men attractive anymore. Men have been so scared to exhibit masculinity that they're no longer attractive.
I think the real problem is that men do not know how to exude their masculinity without being creepy.
Why is masculinity creepy? I almost think kids in college are scared to ask somebody out on a date because it's microaggressive. Weird sounds coming out of Alexa. Is Amazon spying on you?
I think they're listening at all times.
What if Amazon is programming it to do weird things that we don't know?
How much scarier is it if someone more nefarious could drop in and maybe not even say something, but silently listen to you?
That's really frightening. 20,000 people missing in the Alaska Triangle. Why?
There is a higher degree of reported sightings there, not only of UFOs, USOs under the water, but also the Bigfoot, the Kushtuk, I think is his name there.
What stuns me is the recovery. If we're looking at bodies that have gone missing, where are 20,000 people?
Is it possible humans aren't real and we're all just part of a computer program? Simulation theory. The reality we believe is real isn't.
How would we even know anyway?
Maybe by this video. Explain this bird. It's hanging in mid-air.
I mean, it's bizarre.
This is one of my favorite theories about why birth rates are plummeting in the United States.
I do want to make a couple distinctions because birth rate and fertility rate are different. Birth rate is the total number of births in a year per 1,000 individuals. Fertility rate is the total number of births per year per 1,000 women of reproductive age in a population. And to give context to that, the age is usually between the ages of 15 to 44. And the fear is that the global fertility rate will soon, if it already hasn't, will drop below the point needed to keep a stable population.
Why do we want 8 billion people?
Elon Musk says it's the biggest threat to humanity.
What we face is population collapse. Collapse. Like, people have no idea how fast the population is going to collapse.
He's pushing something called natalism, which is the advocacy for childbearing, because his fear is that if you have an aging population that's going to retire and not enough young people to replace them, this puts a strain on like healthcare, social security, pension, and it'll lead to the economic and therefore societal collapse of society.
So look at the chart of what's going on with birth rates. You look at the year here, and this is leading to my theory. Okay, because that's the emergence of social media, which changed a whole lot in this country. So I want you to hear a guy that I just think is almost always right, okay? This is what he has to say, and I'm co-signing on this.
Researchers have found that Americans across the board are at a 30-year low for sex. Half of Americans don't even have it once a month. It's the result of having it drilled into us in recent years that masculinity is itself toxic and scary and unevolved, and women don't like it. And the ones who think they do, they really don't. Women aren't attracted to these girly men they've created. The guy you whipped into total sensitivity isn't sexy to you anymore.
People are not having sex because men are girly or women want to be career focused. That's not the conversation. The conversation is that we have built a world around us in the United States where we cannot afford to have a dog, let alone start a family.
Can't have a house. We can't afford a house.
Look at the chart. 2009, the birth rate's here, and now it's here. Social media and texting has ruined relationships where people don't interact, they text.
It's all virtual.
They don't, I mean, that's what's happened, is that people are in their own little silos now, and they don't know how to have conversations.
Absolutely.
They don't know how to form relationships.
I agree with Bill Maher. I see this with my own students. I've been teaching for about 20 years, and I totally see the flip. The first 10 years, people could socialize and be actual humans and maybe, I don't know, get a date. And then after, right on that, 2009, 2010, it's on the screen.
But I also think social media has created silos of the genders, okay? I think that, you know, because you get your algorithms, and so a lot of young boys and men, are being raised on porn, and dysfunctional porn, and so that becomes their expectation of a relationship. And then women, meanwhile, they get their algorithm of what they want, the sensitive, caring, nurturing kind of male, and there's a total disconnect between the two genders.
I'm not discrediting that. That's very real. Pornography is a pervasive thing, of course, through social media and all internet access for children. However, this is a false call to action to say that social media is at the root of it. It's money.
I think the real problem is that men do not know how to exude their masculinity without being creepy, without being rapey.
Why is masculinity creepy?
It's about what you think masculinity is, and a lot of them get it from outside influences. Maybe their dad was also very toxic. Maybe they're getting it from porn with this false expectation.
You're assuming masculinity is always toxic, or that's a baseline.
No, masculinity is not always toxic. I welcome masculinity in my life.
Let's unpack this. Hold on, let's unpack this, right? I believe that we're in a generation that is redefining what masculinity is.
I almost think kids in college are scared to ask somebody out on a date because it's microaggressive.
I agree. There is some legitimacy to that, okay? There is some legitimacy to that. But men are afraid to approach women.
That doesn't explain everything, but that is a factor, without doubt, in the culture these days. You do see men who are afraid to approach women for repercussions.
But you also see the exacerbation of dating apps. There is a lot more accessibility to reach out and find a date, find a hookup, whatever it may be. Masculinity is only toxic if it is predicated on the oppression of femininity.
And there's men who give the good men a bad reputation, and that's a dying breed. The boomers, unfortunately, that generation was like, raise you to be a man, suck it up, this is the that.
I mean, I think we're having two different conversations here. We're acting like birth rate is the exact, even correlated, but the exact same conversation as the relationships. With the birth rate, there's a lot of other issues. I mean, it's finances, being able to afford all this stuff. I mean, most of us struggle to afford a car and a house, so a kid is like, how much do they cost, 100 grand or
a lot.
Something like, I mean, just to birth it is super expensive. America has one of the worst survival rates for birth in the Western world, so there's that medical issue. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why a lot of women don't want to have kids. It's not necessarily the relationship conversation, they're separate.
Help me out here, because I'm just doing this from recollection. My recollection is the Surgeon General of the United States has said loneliness is an epidemic in this country.
Yeah, that loneliness is mostly, by the way, those statistics show it's mostly men, and it's mostly middle-aged 30 and older men, whereas women on the other hand, although there's clearly loneliness, do not suffer at the same rate, because women get together with girlfriends, we have a social circle, and we put in the effort to cultivate, develop, and maintain relationships in a way that a lot of men do not, because they're so career focused.
Well, there's intimacy with girl relationships.
The main problem too, I think, is that men just feel like they're floating and they don't know where they belong and what their role is anymore, right? And women with education, for example, there are quite a number of more women now getting college degrees than men. Men just don't want to go to college anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
And so
that is true, actually. Those numbers are dropping. Even
That's fine. Go build a house, start your own business. You don't have to have a college education to be the breadwinner of a home.
Well, I'm more so curious, what are the long-term effects that people are looking at with declines in birth rate? I'm curious about. Is this a moral conversation or is this a practical conversation?
The reason why this is such a startling thing to encounter is because when a population decline or a lack of people being born means that the economy isn't going to be as stimulated as it were to be, or as it could be if people were birthing out babies at the rate that they used to. That is the argument, and I think the main focal point of concern.
Coming up. So I am utterly confused by something that is coming out of the world of Alexa. There are voices coming from this contraption that I can't explain. I'm really suspicious of Alexa and Siri. I'm really suspicious of what it does that we don't know.
To think otherwise is naive.
So I am utterly confused by something that is coming out of the world of Alexa. There are voices coming from this contraption that I can't explain. So this is just a little bit of what people are recording from Alexa that they didn't prompt.
Something else spoke right after that. It didn't recognize the voice. And there was some other thingy after that as well. The voice. Mysterious voice.
What the heck is that?
It's a drop-in.
I don't think that there are any ghosts or any spirits haunting. The Alexa app has the drop-in feature, and I believe that you can utilize that app to kind of stimulate sounds.
Can security for an Alexa be so lax and so penetrable that somebody from afar could drop in and maybe not even say something, but silently listen to
That's really frightening.
I do have to say, I love the idea, though, of a ghost using an Alexa as the apparatus of choice. Like, where are the days of, like, Poltergeist with, like, the static TV? Like, where are the clown, like, stuffed animals strangling you?
Or possession.
So EVPs, right? Electronic voice phenomena. Voices show up on electronic and analog recordings that weren't there. I've had plenty of evidence of that. So what if that voice was actually picked up in the Alexa app that is some other, I don't know, spirit there, and she's responding to that? So what if Alexa's now talking to the ghost in your house?
But wait a minute, I'm not suggesting that this is a ghost or anything like that. What I'm suggesting is Alexa able to do things that we don't know, spy on us or something. Because when I hear this and it's unprompted, there's nobody at Amazon that's saying, oh, let's screw with so-and-so. I mean, they're not doing that.
I actually have a theory that everybody is assigned a CIA agent, that like maybe this one CIA agent has like 10 people and their job all day is just to watch those 10 people.
Now I see why I'm here.
The idea behind these programs is that they're supposed to be listening all of the time, because if you say Siri at any moment, it needs to know that you've said, hey Siri, or hey Alexa. They're programmed by us to be flexible enough to identify you at all times.
Is there more to Alexa's programming that we could consider to be sentient? How much do we actually know of the AI that goes into Alexa?
AI doesn't mean that it can think for itself. That's a whole different level of programming that we have not accomplished at all. Everything that AI does is by our programming. It doesn't jump and it doesn't land unless we tell it to do.
Yeah, but what if Amazon is programming it to do weird things that we don't
That
know?
would be more likely than it thinking.
Amazon's fine print about their algorithm is actually very vague. And so if Alexa has such vague boundaries, that means she can do anything that she wants to listen in on my conversation, and her job is to help me. And she thinks that by helping me is to listen to me all the time.
I'm really suspicious of Alexa and Siri.
Well, you should be.
Of what it does that we don't know.
To think otherwise is naive.
Yeah, I agree.
So you basically, you pay for a spy to be in your home.
I'm all for advancement technology. I like convenience. I'm lazy. I'm a homebody. I got nothing to hide. Spy all you want.
That's like saying, oh, I don't care about the Fourth Amendment. Just come in and search my house. I got nothing to hide. We have it for a reason.
But if they've been able to circumvent it, then...
And it's benign now. What happens when it's no longer benign?
You say benign. What if stuff is being stored that we don't know about?
It is being stored.
Every conversation you have at home, you know, with people, jokes you tell that don't sound like jokes. What if in 5 years, all of a sudden, the storage bin just opens up and it's like, oh my God, you kept all that on me?
Surprise.
Coming up, I want to show you guys something. The Alaska Triangle. 20,000 people have disappeared within the perimeter of that triangle.
The thing that stuns me is not the disappearance. What stuns me is the recovery. If we're looking at aircrafts that have gone down, if we're looking at bodies that have gone missing, where are 20,000 people?
There is a higher degree of reported sightings here, not only of UFOs, USOs under the water, but also the Bigfoot, the Kushtuk, I think is his name there.
Show you guys something. Look at this. That's Alaska, and that is a triangle. It's the Alaska Triangle. 20 16,000 people have disappeared within the perimeter of that triangle. 16,000 since 1988. What's up?
You know, it's a rugged terrain. It snows. There are predators. It is hard to get access. And then if you do end up falling and dying, then it snows. You're covered. So even if you're doing air patrols to try to find somebody.
I've spent a lot of time up in Alaska. It is as inhospitable and rugged and dangerous as you can imagine.
What do they have? They have groups of 1,000 that go on hikes and 40 come back?
The thing that stuns me is not the disappearance. People disappear all the time in this country and everywhere in the world, but what stuns me is the recovery. If we're looking at aircrafts that have gone down, if we're looking at bodies that have gone missing, where are 20,000 people?
In LA, we're in LA, a hiker goes missing in the Angeles National Forest. It makes big news. 20,000 people?
We've got resources in terms of all the interagency cooperation that we have in California. They have one trooper per, I think, 10,000 inhabitants. It's ridiculous.
True, but like everyone and their dog has a plane up there, right? They've got a lot of search and rescue.
I have done recovery missions. They are notoriously difficult, even under the best of circumstances. You're looking for somebody my size, their size, in snow, trees, wind. It is so difficult to find somebody, and more often than not, you don't find them, especially if there's no trail.
Yeah, why are they going?
Yeah, they're overconfident and they think they can do this and they get in over their head.
Most of the people are young men between the ages of 20 to like early 30s. So that's the age, that's demographic, that is confident, that feels I'm fit, I can handle it.
So you've heard of the Bermuda Triangle, obviously, where planes have mysteriously disappeared, got sucked down, some kind of a vortex. Why not that triangle?
You pick any 3 points, you have a triangle. I mean, like, you can make it out of anything.
No, but there is a higher degree of reported sightings, not just of UFOs, USOs. It's true, though. You can draw a perimeter around it however you want, but there is a higher degree of reported sightings here, not only of UFOs, USOs under the water, but also the Bigfoot, the Kushtaka, I think is his name there.
But there's also a lot more large animals that could be mistaken for this Kushtaka.
The stuff of lore is only the stuff of lore of the indigenous people there until there are multiple witnesses who claimed they saw this thing.
I dare say that it may be people have come, they have been on this land, they have deprived it of its resources, they're doing mass killings of natural resources, of natural animals. You mess with the land, you mess with indigenous people, and you don't do that, and there are consequences.
And it may not just be one cause for these disappearances. They have had some notorious serial killers up there that were abducting people and then hunting them down. Some pretty well-known cases.
It is amazingly difficult to find people in an area like that. Like, you can have somebody missing right over there, right? And you won't find them.
But what are they doing that drives all those people to this area? And it's like, at a point, it's like, do I really want to go in there if I know that 19,000 people died before me?
Right, it's the thrill of it all. This idea of being able to go into an unknown land and to venture out and to do something that you haven't done before.
But everybody's dying when they go.
You know what? It's just Darwin's theory working out, okay? That's all that is.
Coming up, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever heard. Simulation theory. That somehow we are not real.
Well, how would we even know anyway?
Maybe by this video. Explain this bird. It's hanging in mid-air.
This isn't how we would prove if we were in a simulation or not. The best way would be a mathematical way. So the idea is to find a mistake. That's the easiest way. There's really none other.
This is one of the weirdest things I've ever heard. Simulation theory. That somehow we are not real. That we're really part of a computer program that guides everything we do. And that the reality we believe is real isn't.
Well, how would we even know anyway?
Maybe by this video. Explain this bird.
That's freaking weird, man. Yeah, like there's someone else taking a picture.
It's hanging in mid-air.
It looks like attached to a wire.
Yeah.
Where's the wire?
Is there a wire above?
Probably.
No.
Yes.
No, there's no wire above.
It's just hanging in mid-air.
mean, it's bizarre.
Unless it's like blown up and it's hanging like a balloon.
It may be a balloon shaped as a dead bird.
Okay.
Oh my God. Look, if we want to take it more seriously, this isn't how we would prove if we were in a simulation or not. The best way would be a mathematical way. So the idea is to find a mistake. That's the easiest way. There's really none other. How computer programs work when they create a glitch or when something goes wrong is because a problem is collecting over time and getting worse and worse. And then we finally see it and we go, oh crap, and we fix it. If you find a constant like pi is a huge number. Obviously, as far as we know, it goes on forever. So if a number changes 8 million digits out, then we'll know something is wrong. That would be the best way for us to definitively prove that something went wrong.
I want to hear what would be an example of something that you could perceive in theory that we had a simulation that was going on. What is a glitch that you could imagine would be real?
If we went past the speed of light.
Ooh.
That would be really jarring.
I don't know if you read about Nick Bostrom, but
Yeah.
the theory that he's presenting from 2003, what is the motive for the hypothetical simulation? He talks about there being multiple versions of the past. Are we a simulation of the past so that people in the future can introduce different factors to this world and see the inevitable human outcome? That creates, even if it's the work of science fiction, that's a really compelling narrative to look at how the human race or a simulation of the human race from the past would handle a natural disaster, would handle a catastrophic event at a large scale. So are they looking backwards at us and we are a highly sophisticated version of thousands of years prior?
Can you imagine if you die and they're like, so how was it? That's my nightmare.